never forget that day. I was in 8th grade. It was my first period video class. We're all sitting down, working on our assignments, diligently working. Every morning, our principal would come on a loudspeaker. We had a loudspeaker system ran through our whole school. And before our first period class is over, he would just give us a little talk, a little speech about that day in history, give us a word of the day, and end with a little quote. It's something they did every day. Well, we were working on all of our homework and everything, and we heard the PA system start to sound up. And it was earlier than his regular announcement, so we all thought somebody was going to be called to the office or something. And I'll never forget the words that he said. They're singed in my memory. He said, there's been a national crisis in New York City. Those were the first words. And then he began to talk about the events that unfolded earlier that day. And we were all really scared, students and faculty alike. We turned on CNN or whatever news channel we were watching. We watched the tower burn, and we watched the second plane hit the second tower live. And everybody was scared. Not just us, but our whole country was. And since that day, our country has still been scared. Talk about terrorism. Terrorism is defined as the act or the feeling of submission and terror due to a terrorist act. That being said, I believe the terrorists have won. We live in a completely different community than we did 10 years ago. I've flown on a passenger jet before the 9/11 attack, and the environment was totally different, much more relaxed. Now there's armed guards, there's air marshals, there's certain words that you don't even dare say on an airport or in an airport or on a government facility, words that are almost forbidden. Kind of reminds me of a chapter out of my favorite book, 1984. Our country has seen a lot more changes. Now we got Department of Homeland Security, which is just another bureau. Doesn't really modify any other bureau, just simply a duplicate. We also have something called the USA Patriot Act, something I've learned that's actually an acronym that stands for Uniting Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism. The Patriot Act was passed into a bill in 2000, or passed into a law in 2001. The Patriot Act grants specific powers to the federal government, mainly pertaining to investigation, interrogation, and surveillance. There's a lot of critics to the Patriot Act, but there are some aspects of it that I agree with. For example, the one only aspect that I agree with it on, one of the pros of it, is there's a section in the Patriot Act that eliminates so-called communication barrier between the different bureaus like CIA, FBI. The Department of Justice announced a few years back that prior to 9/11, way before the fall of 2001, that the CIA had obtained information that 2 of the hijackers were living in the United States and did have terrorist intentions, but they couldn't relay that information to all other bureaus due to these stringent procedures and protocols they have on giving information to other bureaus. Many critics think that if this information could have been given out promptly, that those 2 hijackers could have been captured, and September 11th could have been avoided completely. With this new act, those barriers have been lifted, and communication has eased between the different bureaus. On the con side of the Patriot Act, one part that I strongly disagree with is the allowing of something called the sneak and peek warrant. Best way to describe the sneak and peek warrant is an analogy that I'll have with one of my favorite TV shows, Cops. We're all familiar with the scene. An FBI agent or whatever kicks in a suspect's door and announces CIA or FBI or whatever. Well, prior to the Patriot Act, that was required by the Constitution for a lawman to announce his presence in whatever agency he was affiliated with before entering a suspect's house. Now with the new Patriot Act, they no longer have to do that. And the reason why I disagree with this is I'll give you a hypothetical situation. You live in a state where you are allowed, or it is a personal right for you to engage and kill someone that is trespassing on your property. Well, say you're asleep in the middle of the night and you're woken by someone kicking down your door and rummaging through your house. Not knowing the intruder's identity and knowing your personal right as a citizen of that state, and say you are the owner of a firearm, you arm yourself and you go downstairs to engage the unknown intruder. One or two things are going to happen when you go downstairs. Either one, you're going to murder an innocent man or woman trying to do his or her duty as an officer of the law, or two, you will be engaged first. Both of these will result in the unnecessary death of an innocent individual. All in all, the Patriot Act, I strongly disagree with it. It gives way too many power to the federal government, or it gives way too much power to too few people. And if one or few of these people become corrupt, it can really lead to manipulation of federal power. I also have I got a little cartoon that I saw on paper, and I researched it, and I found it online. It's kind of funny. It's basically a man wearing a United States t-shirt, surrounded by FBI agents that look like they're looking at him. Somebody's got his bank records, and somebody's videotaping him. It says, it's got Dick Cheney here saying, "Are you feeling any safer yet?" I feel like that kind of represents what our country is going through right now. But Patriot Act, it really has made me lose a little trust in my government. It makes me feel like my government's a little shaky. But at a time like this, we really shouldn't be worrying about trusting our government, but simply our country and what it stands for. Thank you.